Sports with Mitch Stacy on deck. Dave?
Hi, Justin. Would you say there are a lot more plays and concepts that you guys are going to do offensively this year, or is it more like fine-tuning what you guys did last year offensively?
I think in every offense, there's always a base offense. There's always a base installation that they put in. But in terms of new plays, I don't think I should be saying that to the media because, of course, I don't want to let our opponents know if we do have new plays going in or not. But yeah, I think every offense just comes in with base plays. So we just running the base plays and trying to get guys to do their jobs on that, and just try to get guys to have it, I guess, as second nature to them, so they know it like the back of their hand.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
There's no new plays, guys. Next up, Mitch Stacy from Associated Press with Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Mitch?
Hey, good morning, Justin. You talked about working with Coach Day during this downtime, and I just wanted to get you to talk more about that a little bit. How often did you guys meet? Was it a combination of like film study and working on mechanics, or how did that go? Can you break that down a little bit, and how often you met with them and all that?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it was. It was instead of practicing, I would go in and lift, and then I would meet with Coach Day, and we'd go over concepts and go over defenses, and then we'd also go out and throw, and we would have guys film me throw and kind of critique my throw motion and stuff like that. So I think that helped me a lot, and it helped me just pick his brain and kind of seeing what he wants and seeing what he thinks is more efficient, because I'm always open into learning new things. So just learning all those things from him, really taught me a lot, and I think it really helped me a lot in this off season.
How often did that happen, Justin? How often did you guys get together?
Monday through Friday, like workouts. So it was just Monday through Friday.
So near every day but the weekend, all through the whole time you were off. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Next up, Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch with Tim May on deck. Bill?
Hi, Justin. This is actually a non-football question. I saw the video yesterday where you guys all voted. I don't know if all of you, but were you part of that? And can you kind of discuss that aspect of things? I mean, just the importance.
No, I'm not actually registered here in Ohio to vote. So my dad sent up the absentee ballot. So I'm going to vote that way through the absentee ballot.
Okay, but can you speak to just how important you guys as a team believe it is to vote and how active you are with this?
Yeah, I think as a team, I think we all know how important it is to vote. Of course, we learned throughout the quarantine how important our voices are and kind of what effect our voices may have in the world. So I think, just encouraging everyone out there to go and vote. I think a lot of people might have had the mindset before. I know I did personally that, my vote would have mattered. So this year's actually my first year voting. So I'm excited, and I'm just excited for the opportunity that we get to make a change, and that we have that opportunity, because I feel like a lot of players, they were taking it for granted. So I'm glad that, we're seeing change and trying to make change by voting.
Thanks, Justin.
Next up, Tim May from the Tim May podcast and Lettermen Row with Nathan Baird on deck. Tim?
Thank you, Jerry. Hey, Justin, the other day, Ryan Day was talking about how your progress has been from last year to this year. And one of the things you're doing is you're not just like sitting in the classroom listening, you're asking why, et cetera. And I'm just wondering, do you feel like you are much deeper into the understanding of what's going on with the play calling, et cetera, and understanding the offense in particular?
Yeah, I feel like last year I was kind of just trying to grasp the offense and kind of just, learn the reads and learn the protections. But this year I already know that stuff. So this year I want to know why Coach Day is calling certain plays on this down or distance, or why he's doing this in this particular situation. So just talking to him and asking him those questions, I feel like I'm able to learn more that way and kind of think more like him and kind of be that coach on the field, because of course he can't be on the field with us. So I'm just trying to just trying to ask as many questions as possible, and just trying to learn as much as I can.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Next up, Nathan Baird with Cleveland.com and Dan Hope on deck. Nathan?
Hey, Justin, what impressed you the most about the way the two freshman quarterbacks handled the adversity of COVID and not being able to have the sort of early freshman season that they were supposed to have?
I can't really vouch for those guys of what they did at home, but I mean, from what I've seen, what they've done in Columbus, they've been doing a great job, and just the amount they've learned from the time we've been back from that time in the spring that they were here. I mean, I think they've learned a lot, and they've grown a lot too. So they're both fast learners. They're both very smart guys, and of course, they're both talented. So I'm just really excited for the future and to see kind of how they pan out, because I mean, their growth. They're both great players and great people off the field too. So I'm excited for those guys.
Next up, Dan Hope with 11 Warriors and Tony Girdman on deck. Dan?
Hey, Justin, just from the things that you've worked on this offseason, is there anything, mechanically or anything that you're doing just with your process that you feel like you're able to do a lot better now than you were at this time a year ago?
No, I just feel like I'm a better football player overall, to be honest. I feel like there were a lot of things I had to get better at in my game this past off season. I think I had pretty much everywhere to improve, all aspects of the game. So that's what I did. I tried to learn as much as possible from Coach Day, and I tried to just, critique my game and work on my craft. So that's what I did, and I feel like I improved in a lot of areas of the game. So I'm excited for this.
Next up, Tony Girdman with Buckeye Scoop and Bill Landis on deck. Tony?
Justin, along the lines of you asking Ryan Day and Corey Dennis all of these questions, like why, at what point did you feel like that was the right thing to do? Was it just a matter of being so comfortable with the offense that you needed maybe more of a challenge, or you didn't want them to feel like you couldn't handle it? Like, what went into your thoughts that you need to know more about the offense?
I don't. I think it was just more of a want to get better. I don't think it was more of a thought. It was just I want to be the best quarterback in college football. I want to be the best quarterback, just I can be. So I think that just was what goes into it. I don't think it's complicated. I think it's a simple want and need. So it's kind of, what do you want to get accomplished? You want to be the best quarterback. You want to win a national championship. You want to do all this with your teammates. And then you have to sit down and you have to say to yourself, how do I get there? How do I get better? And you have to kind of write out a plan. And I sit down and then a player or a person can improve on whatever they're trying to improve on by doing that. So that's what I did this offseason. I wrote down what I wanted to accomplish and how to accomplish it. And, this is just another step of the journey. So I'm excited, and it's basically, it's just comes with that.
Sorry about that. Next up, Bill Landis with The Athletic and Clay Hall on deck. Bill?
Hey, Justin, when did you feel like you started to progress from sort of learning the ins and outs of the offense, like learning the protections and stuff like you were saying, to being sort of on a similar level to Coach Day and maybe understanding, like, conceptually a little more what you guys are trying to accomplish?
I mean, I feel like I was, doing that during the season, but I think just the amount of confidence that I have now and the control I have over the offense and just our players and our coaches, the tools around me, I feel more confident now where I can ask those questions and I can, broaden my knowledge in the game, where I feel as last year, yes, I was doing the same thing, but At the same time, I was making sure, I was running the right plays, getting ready for the game plan and stuff like that. So I think this offseason, I'm definitely more comfortable in my shoes, where I was able to just ask those questions to Coach Day and kind of pick his brain and do that. So I wouldn't say there is a time where I just click, but I mean, I do months, or I just kind of just, I'm feeling to explain it because there's really not, but I've just really just felt more dedicated and passionate, like where I just want to get better, and I know the time's clicking, so I'm just just more anxious and anxious every day until game day. So as I said, I know I said it 10 times, but y'all don't know how excited I am to play, and I can't wait to take the field again with my brother. So I'm really excited.
Thanks, Justin.
Next up, Clay Hall with WSYX TV and Austin Ward on deck. Clay?
Hey, Justin, could you move your phone just a little bit? Your head is at the bottom of the screen, and I can barely see you. There you go. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Just, if you can just hold it there for a minute. How much better do you feel than when you had to carry around that brace with you against Michigan, against Clemson? It just, in the one time we've seen you in the stadium, I mean, you were fast, you were quick, you were gliding. I mean, how much better are you right now than you were back then?
I mean, I feel great. Of course, those last few games, my knee was banged up, but I mean, I feel like I've prepared me the off season. I've done my off season training to where I put myself in a great position to succeed on the field. So I feel great in terms of my knee and in terms of running. And I feel like the diet that I changed in the off season, I feel like that was a big help to it. So I feel great, and just feel ready to go.
Thanks.
Next up, Austin Ward with Lettermen Row and Joey Kaufman on deck. Austin?
Hey, Justin. Chris Olave got a bunch of these questions about thinking about that last play in the Fiesta Bowl, and he said that you two, never really talked about it much. How often did you think about it, and is there anything from your perspective that could have gone differently there?
I mean, I look at it like this. I have a motto that I look at life, and I feel like everything happens for a reason. So going back in that play, that play hurts and all, but I feel like that play just did nothing but made us want to get better. Now I feel like, because of that play, we worked so much harder to get to the point where we are right now. So, I mean, we didn't talk much about that play after the fact that it happened, but I feel like we didn't need to. I mean, we both know that, we messed up, and, I mean, we're all human and we all mess up. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But, just the off season and how the way it ended, I feel like it fueled our team a lot in the off season. So I feel like our team's ready to go, and we worked our butts off. So we're just excited we get the opportunity, and we can't wait to play.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Next up, Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch with Adam Rittenberg on deck.
Justin, I know you said you're really excited to play this season. What has it been like each Saturday? Have you been watching other games on TV? Does that leave you more kind of chomping at the bit to get at it? What's each Saturday been like for you this last few weeks?
I mean, we just usually practice in the morning, have a scrimmage, and then we go home all day and watch film. I mean, not watch film, but watch the games. But I mean, just seeing the other teams, of course, make us want to play more. But as I said before, at first we were watching these teams and not having a season. So we're just excited that we do get the opportunity to play, and maybe this time off will just give us more time to prepare. So I think people can look at it like that, or as it like, all right, let's hurry up and play. Let's hurry up and play. But we still got 2 weeks of practice left, where we have that much time to get better and that much time to improve, and that much time to focus on our first opponent. So I feel like these 2 weeks will help us get back into football mode more, and just also give us time to prepare. So I know all the guys on our team are ready to go right now. So I mean, I'm not down that, but we're just going to use these next 2 weeks to prepare for Nebraska.
Hey, Justin, before Dwayne, it had been a really long time since Ohio State had a first-round pick. And with his success and now yours, how do you think quarterbacks that are thinking about Ohio State or you and your other fellow quarterbacks view this system as far as this can help me get to the NFL and be a high-level draft pick?
I don't think it's really too much as what school you go to get drafted. I just feel like it's the coaching and, kind of what situation you're put in. But I mean, the situation I was put in, and of course the coach is Coach Day, Coach Dennis. They do a great job with developing me and quarterbacks. And I think Coach Day is the best quarterback coach in the country. And I might be biased, but that's just truly coming from me. I think he's just one smart guy, and I've learned so much from him, and I plan on learning a lot more. So I'm just excited what the future holds. But I mean, for high school recruits, we've had a lot of success at the quarterback position, but I think it's more as what position you're put in and kind of the coach there and how he develops quarterbacks. And I mean, Coach Day, he's second to none. So he's a great guy and a great quarterback coach.
All right, we've got one last questioner for Justin here, Colin Hasshill with 11 Warriors. Go ahead, Colin.
Hey, Justin, going a little bit off that question, was there anything that, you learned in the last 8 or 9 months, whether it was talking to you directly or maybe talking to your coaches about, what NFL coaches and executives wanted to see from you this season that maybe they didn't get a chance to see last year?
No, not really. I haven't really been talking to any NFL teams or anything like that. But I think just, having Coach Day's experience in the NFL, and, he's a guy that's been there before, so he knows what they're looking for and kind of, how that system works. So I think me just being by him and me learning from him daily, I think that'll prepare me enough to, I guess, make me the best football player I need to be at the end of the day. So, I mean, I think I'm fine with Coach Day, and he's been there before, so he knows a lot. So I'm just gonna stick with him.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great, Justin. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it, and have a good afternoon and a great practice.
Appreciate you, Jerry. Appreciate y'all.
You betcha. Thank you. We're gonna bring in quarterbacks coach Corey Dennis now, and we're gonna open up the line of questioning with Stephen Means from Cleveland.com, followed by Patrick Murphy from 24/7 Sports. Stephen, go ahead.
Hey, Corey. Just talk about how important in your. Oh, sorry. Can I turn this up? Give me a second.
Jerry, can you turn this up?
Go ahead, Stephen. Could you ask that again, please?
Hey, Corey, just going through the first few months here of your time on this job here, obviously you want to develop the guys in your room, but also just looking forward a little bit. How, important is it to maybe identify, who that next quarterback you guys want to recruit is, and how difficult has it been with the recruiting dead period and being able to evaluate such an important position for your team?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot harder, at the quarterback position. You hope you get to see guys throw. You hope you get to, meet a guy, you get to talk to a guy, you get to speak with a guy. So, I mean, you're trying to do the best you can. Everyone's kind of adapting to this new norm with the Zoom calls and, watching things on film. But it definitely is a challenge, but, we're definitely finding ways to figure it out and just keep evaluating kids, keep meeting kids, keep talking to kids, and just trying to progress the best way we can.
Has it in any way changed what the expectations are when you want to maybe lock a kid in comparison to what you guys have done in the last 2 classes?
I think recruiting, as you guys know, always changes. I think that, we're definitely not going to take a guy just because we need to take a guy at this time and like, oh no, hey, it's, July 1st. But I mean, we're definitely going to do what's best for Ohio State, what's best for the quarterback room. So.
Next up, Patrick Murphy from 24/7 Sports. Patrick?
Hey, Corey. I know obviously the big story this year is Justin and what he's able to do, but you guys have you are likely going to need to replace him after this season, and definitely down the road. With the two freshmen you have, how much do you balance getting Justin ready and as good as possible, but also having them ready for whenever it is that they need to step in and be the next guy?
Yeah, that's a good question, but in our reality, it's definitely different times. I would say just kind of in the past, guys would prepare to be backups, right? Guys were, hey, who's the next backup? What can you do to be the backup? But I mean, we've all seen it. We've seen it with Cam Newton in the NFL. Right now, you truly have to prepare like you're the starter, because there is no, you don't know when your number's called. So it's not like the old school, a guy got dinged up on a play or whatever it is. I mean, it truly could happen tomorrow. And so everyone in that room is going to prepare like they're the starting quarterback at Ohio State.
Are you seeing that from the two freshmen?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single day they come in, they work hard, they grind. Not only the two freshmen, but, Gunnar Hoke, he's been around for a while. He's seen a lot of football. He knows our offense in and out. But, everybody's preparing and everybody's going to be ready to go if their number's called.
Thanks, Corey.
Yep.
Next up, Spencer Holbrook from Lettermen Row with Mark Snyder on deck. Spencer?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can keep saying it, but it's definitely interesting times, right? We had a little bit more time than we've had in the past, just being able to meet and being able to talk. But I mean, you're right. Like the guy is polished. And the thing about Justin is he wants to be great. He wants to be the best. He's not going to leave any stone unturned. He wants to know why we're doing this, what's the read. And he's truly going to be prepared versus, just knowing our offense, but he wants to know what everybody else is doing, what our offensive line's doing on run plays, what the opposing defenses are going to do. So, I mean, he's definitely, he's all in. He's ready to go. And I mean, his preparation levels, it's through the roof right now.
Next up, Mark Snyder from Press Pros with Brendan Gulick on deck. Mark? All right, we're going to move on to Brendan Gulick with Buckeyes Now on SI and Dave Biddle on deck. Brendan?
Hey, Corey, thanks for taking some time with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to ask you a little bit about Justin's, maybe the amount of time that he's put in from the concept that everybody hears, hey, 10,000 hours is how you perfect your craft. Maybe it's hard to specify where you think he is along that time, that process, but obviously he's been putting in the work to get there. If you could maybe pinpoint certain things that he's done along the way where you've seen, hey, Justin really made an improvement here, and I can see it's because he's been repping that, he's been watching that film. And just give me an idea a little bit about the 10,000 hours idea with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think really what it is just, his preparation level and, how he truly doesn't want to leave a stone unturned, right? So, I mean, he's just from any aspect. So I just think the way that he's come out, he's approached it, not only just, we've had some time where, the season was canceled, where we couldn't really worry about, or it was postponed and we couldn't worry about who we were playing. So he had more time to kind of focus on himself, focus on Ohio State's offense. But then, I mean, as soon as we found out our schedule within, an hour, he and I are texting about, who we play, what their defense is. And I mean, that just kind of shows what type of kid he is and what kind of grind he has right now.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, guys. Next up, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports with Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Dave?
Hey, Corey, another question about the freshman quarterbacks. How are CJ and Jack Miller coming along, and is one of them a little bit ahead of the other right now?
No, I mean, they're both doing really well. They both have good days. They both have bad days. But, I mean, those guys are grinders. They're both extremely talented. They're both, they're really diving in, want to know the offense. And in all reality, they have a great, guy to look up to, right, in Justin Fields. So they know, hey, look, if you're not preparing as hard as this guy, then can you truly be where he is in the future? So, I mean, Justin's a great example, and those guys are trying to do everything that he does.
presuming Justin's the starter, massive assumption on my part. You guys had a game tomorrow. Who would be your number 2 quarterback?
I think that's something that, we'd evaluate, Coach Day and myself, Coach Wilson, we'd all go in and we talk about it, but, let's just hope that we get to keep Justin Fields.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Next up, Bill Rabinowitz, the Columbus Dispatch, with Tim May on deck. Bill?
Hi, Corey. Kind of a broad question, but can you kind of give a brief little scouting report on Gunner as well as CJ and Jack and where they are, their development right now?
Yeah, I mean, Gunnar Hoke, first off, I mean, he's a guy who's been around. I mean, he's been at, he's seen a different college offense before. So, I mean, he's seen a lot of football. He's extremely talented. He's kind of the older guy in the group, obviously. And then, Jack and CJ, I mean, they're literally just, floor to the pedal to the metal, just trying to learn everything they can, try to soak it in. And just, they're both doing an unbelievable job. All three of those guys are just doing a great job, and they're really grinding. And like I said earlier, everyone has to prepare like you're the starter.
How confident or comfortable would you be if one of those three had to go in and play tomorrow?
Oh, we'd be ready to go. There's no doubt. They'd be ready to go. They know the offense, but they're continuing to get better. They're continuing to grow and learn. They know that they're not where they need to be, but they're definitely grinding every single day and getting where they want to go.
Thanks, Corey.
Next up, Tim May from the Tim May podcast and Lettermen Row with Nathan Barrett on deck. Tim?
Thank you very much. Hey, Corey, what is it like to have a quarterback like Justin Fields, though, that you can have these almost next level kind of conversations, I would think right now, about the offense? What joy does that bring to a coach in terms of like communication, et cetera?
Oh, no, I mean, it's definitely unbelievable. The guy comes off the sidelines in a practice and, you ask him what he saw in that play, and he's not just talking about, one thing. He's telling you what the coverage was, what the blitz was. You can, make in-game adjustments. I mean, having a guy like that's invaluable.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Next up, Nathan Baird with Cleveland.com and Dan Hope on deck. Nathan?
Hey, Corey, where are you still playing catch up the most, I guess, for lack of a better term, with the 2 freshman quarterbacks, considering the not getting to have a full spring any other time that you might have missed with them in the offseason?
I think that you would just say that it's the actual live reps, right? Like you can only, I mean, we've done a great job. Those guys are grinding in the Zoom meetings and, things like that. And you can talk about it and you can show film and you can show diagrams and, you can kind of whatever walk through or step through. But I mean, it's just the actual live reps. I mean, those are definitely things that are hard to come by.
Next up, Dan Hope with 11 Warriors and Tony Girdman on deck. Dan?
Hey, Corey, what's been the biggest challenge for you just being a first-year quarterback coach and having to deal with all these different challenges this offseason while bringing in 2 new quarterbacks?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that, this year's been a challenge a little bit for everybody, right? With the pandemic, not having spring ball, not having, those type of things, not being able to work out with your guys really in the summer. So, I mean, those things were obviously a challenge, but, our guys handled it well. They were, the way that they prepared and, tried to treat our meeting, the Zoom calls like our meeting room. I mean, those guys did a great job, and I don't know if we could have asked anything more of those guys.
And specific to those 2 freshmen, what are the biggest ways in which you've seen each of them grow from when they got in January to where they are right now?
Well, I think really it's just knowledge of the offense, right? I mean, you guys know Ohio State, we have a pretty complex passing game. And for those guys to really just take it and learn and grow and not be overwhelmed by the entire playbook.
Thanks, Corey.
Next up, Tony Girdman with Buckeye Scoop and Bill Landis on deck. Tony?
Corey, with everything that Justin can do and everything that he wants to know, how much does he challenge you guys to not just rely on what he did last year?
I'm sorry, could you maybe say that question again or rephrase it?
How much does he challenge you as a coach? Because he can do so many things and there's levels that you can take him to. So I guess, like, is it freeing? Is it challenging? What's it like coaching him when there's almost no limit to, I guess, what he could do?
I mean, I think one thing it is, freeing in the sense of, maybe the playbook's open for Coach Day, but I mean, even for a guy like myself, like, sure, it's challenging. Like, who doesn't like the challenge? Because every single day you walk in that meeting room, you better be prepared. You better have the cut-ups in order. You better have the tip sheets. You better have, you better know what you're talking about, and you better be ready to go, because it's not just, oh man, hey, let me just run in here and run this meeting. Like, I mean, you got to prepare like you're coaching Tom Brady.
Thank you.
Next up, Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill?
Hey, Corey. Jack Miller dealt with some injuries in high school, as you know, and he didn't play a ton, or at least he didn't play his full seasons his last couple of years in high school. So I'm just wondering, like, was he behind at all when he got here, and maybe how has he come along now that you've been in camp, you've got pads on? Did he have to shake any rust off or anything like that?
No, he definitely wasn't behind. I mean, he was ready to go. He dove in, and I mean, I think he was ready to go when he got here, and he's learning the playbook, learning the offense, and I mean, he's continuing to doing everything that we ask of him.
Next up, Clay Hall, WSYX TV with Austin Ward on deck. Clay?
Yeah, Coach Corey, thanks for the time. Is there something that Justin is better at physically or mechanically? Was there something that you pinpointed, or Ryan or Justin said, where do I need to raise my game?
I think that's really just, who Justin is in itself. He's never going to look at his game and say, okay, hey, I'm good there, I'm not good there. I think that, just as his game in a whole, he wanted to dive in, he wanted to get better, and he wanted to continue to grow in all aspects of the game.
So everything. I mean, there wasn't one thing, footwork, release.
No, he came in and he wants to get better. So I don't think that, he, from all aspects, he tried to improve, and that's just kind of guy he is. He's a grinder.
Is it more intellectual than physical of where he's made a jump?
I wouldn't say like he made a jump, intellectually. Like, I mean, the guy's always been a smart guy. Like, that's never not been the case. I mean, he's always, understood the offense. He's always, been able to handle everything. So that's definitely wasn't the case. But I just think in all aspects, he just tried to get better, and we had a little more time than we've had in the past.
Okay, thanks.
Time for a couple more questions for Corey. Next up, Austin Ward with Lettermen Row and Joey Kaufman on deck. Austin?
Hey, Corey, I know this is a little bit of a hypothetical, but when you look at, let's just say you have some second half reps in a blowout game, and Gunner's a veteran, he won't be around long term, would you rather give some of those reps to your number two, or try and get those to the freshman wherever possible? Have you thought at all about what you guys want to accomplish if you get that situation?
I don't know that we've really sat down and thought about it, but I think that, long term, we're going to do what's best for, just Ohio State for that year, and just continue to grow guys and continue to get guys better. But to say that we thought about it, no, we haven't.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Next up, Joey Kaufman with Columbus Dispatch, and we'll end with Adam Rittenberg with ESPN. Joey?
Corey, specifically with Gunnar Hoke, this being his second year in your guys' system, how big of a difference does that make for him, and what have you noticed for him in particular over the last 12 months?
Yeah, no, for sure. Anytime that you're in the offense, for the second year, getting to be around this verbiage and things like that, that's definitely a benefit to you. But I mean, Gunner's, he's smart. He knows our offense. He's a great player. He is a great leader. He's one of those guys too that, the young guys can kind of look up to and see the way that things are supposed to be handled. So Gunner's, extremely valuable to have.
Hey, Corey, just during your time there, and especially in this role, how do you think quarterbacks are looking at being a quarterback at Ohio State, and especially how this system can help prepare them for the draft and the NFL?
Yeah, I think that, this system is definitely pretty similar to an NFL's passing game type system. I think that, I kind of walked through when I heard Justin Fields talking, but he and I are both in agreement that, Coach Day is arguably one of the best quarterback coaches in the United States of America, right? What he does with the offense is unbelievable. How he, takes care of his quarterbacks is unbelievable. And ultimately, when you have a play caller who is also, you know, the head coach and who is also has a quarterback background. I mean, that's unbelievably valuable for a quarterback.
Corey, thank you so much for your time today and for meeting with our media. And have a great afternoon and an excellent practice. And folks, we'll be back here probably in about a half hour, but don't go too far away with Coach Day. If he's available to come on early, I'll try to get him on earlier. But otherwise, we'll just hang here and we'll have Coach Day here momentarily. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate you guys.
Corey.
See ya.
Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
All right, folks, we've got Coach Day here, and we're going to open up the line of questioning with Adam Rittenberg from ESPN.com and Jared Smalley on deck. Adam?
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Hey, good. I just was asking a couple of the quarterback, Justin and Corey Dennis earlier about this, but how do you think your system and the success of a guy like Dwayne and Justin, how he projects to the draft, impacts how quarterbacks look at coming to Ohio State now? Because there hadn't been a lot of first-round guys before Dwayne, and now you're positioned, obviously, to have back-to-back high-level guys.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, a very, very exciting time here to be part of the passing game. And I think that took it as a, personal challenge to, have that quarterback room be in the Heisman conversation year in and year out. We've had a lot of those here at Ohio State, but certainly a challenge to get guys drafted in the first round. And that's what Ohio State has a great history of in all positions. And now, the last, couple of years, we've had some really good quarterbacks here. And so I think it's exciting. I think it's an exciting time to be a quarterback, and I think recruits see that.
Next up, Jared Smalley with WCMH Channel 4 and Rob Aller on deck. Jared?
Hi, Ryan. In watching college football here the past few weeks, we have seen this interesting trend of really traditionally excellent defenses struggle. Just over the past weekend, you look at Alabama and LSU, teams that are phenomenal athletically on defense have had trouble defending here early on. There's a number of possible explanations, right, with those spring football, some other things that individual schools have gone through with COVID. So there could be a number of explanations. My question is, as you viewed what's happening in college football right now, has it given you any pause, or had you helped you maybe rethink planning defensively as you get ready to play the first game, simplifying things, and how you evaluate what's gone on versus how you get your own team ready?
Yeah, we've done a lot of that. We've shown clips of different teams, and hopefully we can learn from some things that have happened over the last few weeks in college football, and then in the NFL season so far. And just trying to emphasize those things. There's nothing that takes the place of practicing with pads on and having spring ball in a preseason, but I think having an awareness of it and emphasis on pad level tackling, I think are critically important. There's more to it than just tackling. I think it's guys running to the football and being in great shape and playing on contact strong, but it's all things that we're bringing up on a weekly basis, showing them clips and hopefully learning from what's been out there.
And Ryan, in terms of game planning specifically for Nebraska, you found out a little bit later than usual that was going to be your opening opponent. How did you go about developing a game plan then, and how far are you now into a game plan where you're a little more than a week out?
Yeah, we've been really focused on us, but we have been watching them when we can. Had a good off day yesterday, and we're able to spend a bunch of time on Nebraska. But so much of it is making sure that our guys are fundamentally sound right now. We're still having a bunch of good on good this week, mixing in some of the Nebraska, so it's a little bit of a hybrid week that way. But yeah, so to answer your question, we didn't have as much time as we typically would in the off season to go ahead and study somebody. But it's more than you would for a normal opponent late in the season. So I think we'll be in good shape there. The biggest thing is taking care of the football, tackling, pad level, penalties, and playing a clean game.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
Next up, Rob Aller with the Columbus Dispatch and Mitch Stacy on deck. Rob?
Hey, Ryan. Sort of variation on both those themes. Do you change your game plan? Would you possibly change your game plan based on defense being a little weaker? Maybe what you've watched nationally so far, or do you do what you do and not worry about it?
No, we do what we do, and we feel strong about our defense. We feel strong about our scheme, and the coaches on that side of the ball got a lot of experience. We have great leadership there, and we know that we have good players there because they've done it before. There's a good experience there, especially at the linebacker level. Coop's back, you got Shaun Wade, so there's a lot of experience to draw upon. There are some young guys back there, and that's something that you stay up late at night, worrying what that's going to look like, but you can't change what you do. I mean, you just have to make sure that the guys are ready to play fast and make sure they're fresh and prepared, because a lot of it, in conditioning too is important. and making sure that they're ready to go in the fourth quarter. Another part of that is making sure we have enough depth so that we can play several guys at different positions. So all those things play into playing good defense. And, on offense, we got to do a good job as well. We can't put them into a short field. There's been a lot of turnovers in college football, and, turnovers in special teams. There's punt blocks. There's different things going on. And to give them a short field is not good. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that we're helping on our side. And we got to do a great job with, tackling and wrapping up. I see a lot of that going on right now. So all those conversations are being had, and the focus continues.
Is it possible that the delayed start, there's a silver lining to allowing you to get your defense maybe a little more up to snuff with tackling? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's given us something to learn from. I think it's something that we can hopefully identify what's going on in college football right now and look to get out in front of it. But I'm sure there's a lot of coaches out there that are saying the same thing nationwide. It's not like there's not great coaches out there that are saying we need to do a good job with tackling, pad level, and running the ball. So, what is it that's going on? It's something that we all have to work through and identify, and hopefully we can do that.
Next up, Mitch Stacy with the Associated Press and Colin Hass-Hill on deck. Mitch?
Hi, Ryan. This has been a very unique situation in that you've gotten to spend so much extra time with your starting quarterback. He talked a little bit about, your sessions during the weekdays, during the off time. And I just wonder, how much better do you feel like the kid and like what makes him tick? And, what's the value in that as far as your relationship between the two of you goes?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot of value to it. It's one thing to see what goes on in the field, but this time has allowed us to spend a little more time together, and I get a chance to learn more about what does make him tick, what he's picking up in meetings, and then what he's able to take to the field, and his strengths, his weaknesses, the things that fire him up and motivate him. So yeah, there's a lot there, and he's a special young man that I've really grown very close to, and think the world of him, and I'm just so happy that he's going to have an opportunity to play this season.
Do you feel like you know him a lot better than you knew him last year?
I don't know about a lot, but yeah, the more you're around each other and the more time you spend, certainly that relationship gets stronger and stronger. So yeah, I would say significantly better than last year, and it'll continue to grow throughout the season.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
Next up, Colin Hass-Hill with 11 Warriors and Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Colin?
Ryan, Justin was just sitting here talking about how he wants to be the best quarterback in the country. And I know you guys have a talented wide receiver room. You guys have multiple running backs, a good offensive line. I think there's a sense from the outside that you guys have a chance to be really special on offense. So I was just wondering, do you get that sense when you're with the offensive players and coaches in the building, and how do you make sure that you maximize all these guys that you have offensively?
Well, the first thing is you can't be selfish, because we do have different playmakers, and you can't get too far ahead of yourself. You start thinking big like that, you'll get knocked out in the first round. So we have to make sure we're doing all the little things, not the flashy things, really well. The big things will come, the big plays will come, but we have got to take care of the football, whether it's the quarterback, the running back, the receivers, the tight ends, whoever's touching the football. That ball has to be secure. Nothing matters. Talent doesn't matter. Speed doesn't matter. Experience doesn't matter if you turn the football over. So we cannot do that. The second thing is, we have to play with toughness. The offensive line has to win the line of scrimmage. We have got to run with our pads down. We have to block on the perimeter. And then the last thing is we got to play smart. We can't play, behind the sticks in terms of penalties or anything like that. And that has got to be our focus. It can't be anything else. Big plays will come because we do have some talent, but none of that matters if we don't take care of those first three things. And that's all we're focused on right now. It's going to be reemphasized today. And we just got to focus on that as we roll into the 24th.
Then I just wanted to ask specifically about quarterback coaching. How are you guys right now splitting up that on a day-to-day basis with what you're doing and what Corey's doing?
Yeah, Corey meets with the quarterbacks regularly, and every once in a while I'll grab Justin or one of the quarterbacks and spend some time with them. The one thing in that room is that Justin's been here for a year, Gunner's been here for a year, so those guys their learning level is a little bit different than the two freshmen. So there are times where we'll split up the work a little bit just because they're at different levels, but most of the time they're with Corey.
Thanks.
Next up, Bill Rabinowitz with the Columbus Dispatch and Doug Lesmerises on deck. Bill?
Hi, Ryan. Jordan Fuller was such a reliable guy as your lone safety last year most of the time. How comfortable are you with your safeties this year? I assume you envision playing the same style, and where does that position stand right now?
Well, yeah, Jordan was probably the most unsung hero last season. I mean, played really, really well. He did get some recognition, but probably not as much as he deserved. He got everybody in the right calls. He communicated well. He tackled well. He really ran the middle of the field, and so you can see what he's doing in the NFL. I mean, he's doing a great job there. So that was a big void there that we need to get filled. I think that the safeties, Proc and Hook and Bryson Shaw, Lathan Ransom, those guys are all working hard, and they've shown flashes. They've done a good job. Consistency is critical, and as we get into that first game, they just have to play. And it's hard to get a real feel for it until we get out in the field and play that first game. But they have improved. Kerry's doing a great job with them. They've shown flashes, and they're really striving this week to be a little more consistent. But overall, pleased with what we've seen.
Is there a leader there?
I mean, I think they've all shown good things. We'll kind of see as we get into the first game. I think the thing that we talk about all the time is that we try to play as many guys as we can. And if that means playing 3 guys, we play 3 guys. If it means playing 1, we play 1. It's whoever, we think deserves an opportunity to play. And then just like any other position, we'll play multiple guys if they deserve the opportunity based on how they practice. So, we'll kind of see who we think can be game ready going into next week and go from there.
And you guys tweeted out the thing yesterday about going to vote. Is that something that you've emphasized? How much of a topic of discussion is that?
It's something that, Ryan Stamper's done an unbelievable job with our players and our leadership council and our player development, making sure that guys have an opportunity to vote. And I think the guys have done a great job with that. It's something that some of the guys on the team felt really, really strongly about. And so, they're going to have the opportunity to do that. We're able to maybe help with a little bit of the getting that done before the 3rd. NCAA is actually not allowing us to practice that day, so we'll have to plan accordingly there. But we've got guys registered here, and Ryan Stamper's done a great job of that.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
Next up, Doug Lesmerises with Cleveland.com and Patrick Murphy on deck. Doug?
Ryan, now you have a few more practices under your belt. How have the 4 receivers looked, and do you feel like, do you notice that the lack of spring practice or what you guys missed during the pandemic, how much is that affecting those 4 young receivers especially?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's 2 things. I think one, I've been pleased with how they run routes, learn the plays, learn the intricacies of the position. I think the thing that's hurt is not being in pads because playing the position is different when you have pads on. And we won't really know until they catch the ball and get hit and tackled in a game on a consistent basis. And that's the biggest thing that keeps you up at night. But at the end of the day, I think they have talent. They've improved. They've shown that they care about doing things the right way. They've spent a lot of time with Coach Hartline and making sure that they're where they need to be when they need to be there. They've all shown that they want to take care of the football, and they've all made big plays. So we'll see. I wish we had more time with pads on with them, but it's time to go. And we'll work harder this week to keep challenge them in that area. But again, if we block and we take care of the football, we're gonna have a great season with those guys out there. But that's the thing you just don't know until you play in a real game.
What's your sense at the moment of how that? Oh,
go ahead.
Can I ask one quick follow up? What's your sense at the moment of how a 6-man receiver rotation might shake out?
Yeah, no, that's typically been the numbers that we've used. We also, have multiple tight ends that we feel comfortable using as well. So, the combination of having 6 receivers and then multiple tight ends, I think is the right recipe for us.
And you think you feel comfortable, at least some of those freshman receivers could be in that 6?
Yeah, absolutely. And also multiple running backs in the game at the same time is something that we've spent some time on and looked at. So that's we the good news is we have some different options, which is great. But we plan on playing some young guys for sure.
Next up, Patrick Murphy with 24/7 Sports and Jeremy Birmingham on deck. Patrick?
Right. Ryan, you were asked earlier about the time spent between you and Corey with the quarterbacks. I'm curious, given, you want to have Justin up to speed, but you do have these 2 young freshmen that at some point will need to step in, whether that's after this year, in 2 years, whatever. How much time do you guys devote to getting those guys ready? And, Corey mentioned that the guys have to be able to step in at any moment. You never know what's going to happen. How prepared are these guys, and how much time are you focusing on them when you have 2 other guys in that room as well?
We spend just as much time as any other position in making sure those guys are ready to go. And there's been a lot of meeting time because that's really what we've had the most of between last March and now. But the thing you just can't replicate are the reps, and certainly the team reps and the reps with pads on. So, they haven't been meeting, any more than any other quarterback. They've done a decent job of that, of picking up a lot of offense. But until you get them on the field and playing in a real game, you just don't know. We try in the stadium to replicate it as best we can. And anytime you have young quarterbacks out there, you see a lot of stuff that maybe you haven't seen before, and they learn and they grow. So we'll continue to do that on Saturday. That'll be our, 4th time in the stadium. And we just keep growing. But yeah, quarterbacks do, and they probably do the most meeting of all the positions, but they're not doing any more than anybody else.
And how is Justin with the guys? We've heard a lot about his leadership, but how does he kind of take them under his wing?
He just shows them the way. He shows them the way it's supposed to look in practice. His effort, his attention to detail, the way he shows up every day to work, way he's in the weight room, way he prepares like a pro, he takes care of his body. All those things are just a great role model, which is kind of the way it's been here. When I first got here, JT showed the way to Dwayne and Joe, and then they showed the way, to some of the younger guys, and now Justin's doing the same thing.
Next up, Jeremy Birmingham with Lettermen Row and Tim May on deck. Jeremy?
Ryan, with so many recruits around the country kind of clamoring for the dead period to end, from my vantage point, it doesn't seem like it would actually be a positive for you guys, because there seems like there's more risk than you would maybe gain if it was ended. With so few targets left in 21, how are you balancing what those recruits are needing to still get out of the process and what you guys are able to provide with the backdrop of trying to win a national championship?
Yeah, it's been difficult for them mostly. I feel really bad for the recruits and their families, and that they haven't been able to, be here. We know what this is, and we've been able to get a good feel for our recruits and their family, and we feel really, really strongly that we have a great fit in this class. But there's just been, some guys that haven't had the opportunity to come spend time in our culture, around our campus, around our players. The cool thing is, I think they communicate with the guys who have been around, and they get a feel for it that way. But I think, when they do get here, they're just going to love it even more. And so there's not much we can do about it. Is it difficult? Sure is. It's hard, but we're making the best of it. It's the same across the board. So it's just like we mentioned with anything else. We just have to handle it better than everybody else, and find that right fit. So, and then there's still a couple more spots out there that we're working at and trying to figure out what that is. And hopefully we're able to get guys on campus in January.
With that being the case, obviously, you guys are aware of the trend of players kind of organizing their own stuff. What type of safeguards do you guys have in place to make sure when that does happen that you are aware of exactly where they are, when you can talk to them, and that sort of arrangement?
Yeah, we just have to stay out of all of that. If we ever hear of anything, we immediately call Justin Cumey in our compliance and make sure that everything's being followed. First off, through an NCAA compliance, protocol, but also because of COVID and other things like that. So we can't really get involved with that, but at the same time, we understand, that some of these guys just want to be a part of this thing. So it's kind of out of our hands, and we just kind of rely on compliance to help us.
Next up, Tim May with the Tim May Podcast and Lettermen Row, and Stephen Means on deck. Tim?
Thank you very much. Ryan, for want of another term, as a professor of football, what is it like to have a player who wants to know more, like Justin, who wants to understand thoroughly what you're thinking, et cetera? What is that like, dealing with a player like that?
That's typically what you get when you have somebody here for multiple years. The first year, they're trying to learn the offense. They're trying to figure out how to make it work, the ins and the outs. And then when they become fluent in the language, they start to learn the whys. And again, the first year, it's like, what am I doing? The second year, it's usually, why am I doing it? And that's kind of where he's at right now. I think he's trying to figure out, why we do things. And we're getting to the point now where, when he hears a call, he knows what I'm thinking. He knows what Kevin Wilson's thinking. And that's really, really important. And that's when you can take it to the next level. And, again, I wish we had more time to practice on the field over the last couple months, but we're doing a good job. He's doing a great job, and we'll just keep growing from there. But that's the idea.
Hey, one other quickie. When you get ready for a Nebraska right now, are you just looking at stuff from last year? I mean, obviously you have to do that, I would guess, but how just uncertain is it preparing for an opponent which could have changed a lot of things over the season, over the off season?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for them, though. They don't have any film on us, and we don't have any film on them. So yeah, it's tricky, and maybe that has to do with some of the stuff that you're seeing across college football. Yeah. But again, it is what it is, and we just have to do a better job of handling it.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Hey guys, I want to try to get everyone who's got a question for Coach in. So if we could try to limit it to one question now. Next up, Stephen Means with Cleveland.com, and Dan Hope on deck. Stephen?
Hey Ryan, over the summer, you were kind of one of the first programs in college football to speak out about some of the social justice issues that were going on out in the world. Obviously, some other programs have since followed. Clemson has kind of taken a page out of the NBA's book and allowed players to wear different messages on the back of their jerseys. Have you guys had any conversations about doing anything similar to that, or doing anything at all regarding that issue?
Yeah, we have. Again, Ryan Stamper's met with our leadership committee, and we are talking about that right now, about putting something on the back of our helmets. We're going to probably make the final decision on that here by the end of the week. But I'm really proud of our players, and this is something that they've led from the inside out, something they feel strong about. And I think, like I've said from the beginning, it's a job of the coaches and the head coach to advocate for the players and their voices. And I think that's been clear, going back all the way to the beginning of this thing, that we believe in that here. And very, very proud of the way that our guys have handled that. And we all do. We feel like, it matters, the voice of the player, and we'll, continue to support that.
Next up, Dan Hope with 11 Warriors, and Dave Biddle on deck. Dan?
Hey, Ryan. I mean, obviously this has been a really different offseason than what you had last year, but just going into, this second season as a head coach, just what's different, going into this year from where you were last year, and, are there things that still kind of feel the same?
Yeah. I mean, the easy thing to say, what's different, you could say everything, but that's not true. Although it seems like it some days. Seems like everything's different, but it's not. It's just the timing's different in terms of not having a typical preseason. The start of the season is different. The schedule is different. But at the end of the day, it comes down to football. And, nothing's changed with that. If you turn the ball over, you got a chance to lose the game. If you don't tackle, you have a chance to lose the game. If you don't win the line of scrimmage, you have a chance to lose the game. You have a lot of penalties, you put yourself at risk. So it's all that hasn't changed. I mean, the game is the game, but it's going to be different. I mean, playing in through the end of December, playing an 8-game schedule, all those things that we all know are very different. And but like we say, at the end of the day, it just still comes down to football. It comes down to leadership. It comes down to the guys, taking ownership of the team and leading from the inside out. And that's that's what it comes down to. And so that part has stayed consistent, and we'll just keep focusing on those things.
Next up, Dave Biddle with 24/7 Sports and Tony Girdman on deck. Dave?
Hi, Ryan. Is depth at 3-tech defensive tackle your biggest concern right now, personnel-wise? And if not, maybe what is?
Yeah, I would say, probably the inside tackles are the biggest concern in terms of depth. I think everywhere else you got pretty good depth across the board. But hopefully we can get a few of those guys back here and then kind of go. The good news is, you have some really good bodies in that room. Even though there more defensive ends available. So there's different things we can do, different looks we can give, different fronts, and so we'll solve the problem. But it's definitely a group that has to step up and has to create depth.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Tony Girdman with Buckeye Scoop and Bill Landis on deck. Tony?
Ryan, when you're just by yourself or with your offensive staff, how much does everything Justin Fields can do, how much does that challenge you as a coach, as a play caller, as a coordinator to maximize him and not just rely on what you guys have done in the past?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, but that's something we focus on all the time. I do think part of this off season and the key to being successful is that, there's been so much time to, study different schemes, look at different people, look at the way they attack people, is not overwhelming the players with plays, is finding the right ones that do fit our personnel. I think that's really important, and I think that's one of those things that we have to be right on. Because what happens is you can run too many plays and it just gets crazy, or too many defenses. And so finding the right ones for the guys that you have on the team currently is as important now as it's ever been.
Thank you.
Next up, Bill Landis with The Athletic and Clay Hall on deck. Bill?
Hey, Ryan, do you guys have any clarity at right tackle right now in terms of who the starter will be? And just sort of in general, what have you thought of Nick and Paris going through this camp?
No, they're doing great. They're both doing great. They'll both play. I don't know. You just don't know until you get into the game week. I would say that Nick right now is taking most of the reps with the ones. He looks really strong. Has had a really good camp. But we're going to play multiple guys, and it just matters. Coming into next week, when Stud and I sit down and figure out, all right, well, who are the guys that are going to play in the game? And we figure that out and we try to figure out the rep count and go from there. But both of those guys will play. And I would say that I'm very impressed with the way Nick had an unbelievable offseason. He's had a really good preseason, and I think he's going to have a heck of a year.
Thanks.
Next up, Clay Hall, WSYX TV, and Nathan Baird on deck. Clay?
Hey, Ryan, when I hear you talk about pad level and take care of the ball, it seems like it's the message of be brilliant at the basics. And I'm reminded of a sign that used to hang in the halls of Channel 6. Is that grown out of watching this first 4, 5, 6 weeks and the upsets that have occurred?
Yeah. I mean, that's something we always talk about. But watching these games, it certainly makes you reemphasize as a coach those like you said, the basic things. So yeah, I mean, it would always be an emphasis, but it's a little bit more of a shining light on those things based on kind of what we've seen, what we've learned for the first few weeks.
Thanks.
Next up, Nathan Baird with Cleveland.com and Austin Ward on deck. Nathan?
Hey, Ryan, can you sort of compare and contrast how you see Justin Fields reacting and processing to disappointments or failures or losses like what you ended last season with compared to just other great quarterbacks that you've worked with?
One thing about Justin is he doesn't get rattled. He is very composed, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, but he's driven and his fire runs really hot inside. He's very, very competitive. I know leaving that field last year just fueled his fire, and then that's really what's motivated him this whole off season. He's not the only one. I know there's a couple other guys out there, Chris Olave, Jonathan Cooper, just the bunch of guys out there, Tough Borland, Pete Warner. There's some guys out there, Josh Myers, that just it didn't sit well with them the way the season ended. So they've handled things the right way. They had a great off season. We came back. We had a really great workout, winter workouts. Mick put together a great program, and going into spring season, we were ready to roll. And then we had to kind of spend, all of the spring and most of a good portion of the summer apart from each other. And so the motivation had to come from within. And I thought Justin did a great job of that. His body putting the work in, and hopefully all that pays off for us when we get going on the 24th, because I'm really proud of the way those guys have worked hard, and a lot of it has been on their own.
Next up, Austin Ward, Lettermen Row, with Joey Kaufman on deck. Austin?
Ryan, I know that you've built a culture where the competition never stops, but in terms of having a plan for October 24th and who all is going to play, you've touched a little bit on right tackle, 3 technique, and safety. How many positions do you really feel like maybe going into this weekend and that last time in the horseshoe that you're not 100% certain about how it'll shake out?
I don't really have a number, but the thing that I just always talk about is, we're going to play depth at every position. So whether it's Sean Wade playing corner, he's not going to play every snap. Whether it's Master Teague playing tailback, he's not going to play every snap. Justin Fields will, but that's about it. Our tight ends, we're going to roll guys. And really the decision we make is, you think about, even the last couple of years here at wide receiver, we had great players, Terry McLaurin, Paris Campbell, Johnny Dixon. I mean, you go through the list of guys, and they all played. We rolled guys. Guys on the defensive line rolled. There were times last year where Devon Hamilton took 23 snaps in a game of 60, 70 snaps. So we constantly roll guys, and the question really becomes: is he game ready? Do we feel confident putting him in the game? If we do, then we're going to play depth. If we don't, then that's harder. And so that's where the depth is critically important, especially this season with all the unknowns, with the virus and all the things that can come down the road. So anyways, to answer your question, I mean, that's something we're still talking about. Who are the guys who are game ready? And there are some guys who are game ready right now, but there's still a good portion that aren't. And that's why this week is going to be a really strong week for us.
The last couple questioners. First, Joey Kaufman with the Columbus Dispatch, and Brendan Gulick on deck. Joey?
Ryan, what has it been like to just watch other college football games on Saturdays? Has it felt like having 6 bye weeks? Are you eager to play, antsy? Just emotionally, what has it been like to just be watching other games on TV?
Most of it's been torture. I mean, just not being able to play in games and watching these games has been really hard. There has been a part of it that I've actually enjoyed, but for the most part, it's been hard. And I just want to be playing. Just want to get these guys on the field and get rolling. And there's been some beautiful Saturdays, and I just kind of sometimes I'll be at my son's youth game or watching a game on TV, thinking to myself, it's just amazing that it's the end of September, early October, and we're not playing. But again, you accept it, and you focus on getting the guys better because we're 11 days away now. So it's here, it's on us, and that's the focus.
Just as a quick follow-up, is there anything about this team that you are excited about to see that we haven't asked about, or just a particular something you look forward to?
No, just getting out there and see what kind of team we have. I think that's the key. And I think I mentioned this last year, the journey starts and you don't know where that journey is going to take you. But every year is different. Every group is different, and it's not going to be perfect. Just not, and I know we all have high hopes, but it's going to start with one play. It's going to start with one drive, and then it's going to start with one game, and it's going to go from there. And that journey we're going to take is going to be a process. And that's the fun part. That's what's great about college football, and figuring that out, and what are the right pieces, and what are the right things that motivates our guys, and that's going to be the fun part.
And final question for today comes from Brendan Gulick with Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan?
Hey, Coach. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Hey, we had a chance to talk with Corey Dennis for a little bit earlier. And I realize he's been on your staff for a couple of years, but obviously it certainly seems like he's in a more important role now. Can you tell us what his best value to you is, and maybe what his best asset is?
Yeah, he's got a lot of assets, and he has a lot of value here. First off, he's very loyal. He grew up in this world. His dad was a coach. His dad was an AD. He understands football. And he, first off, believes in what we believe in here. I think that's really important. He's really sharp. He connects well with the players. And, because of all those things, I mean, he's of a lot of value to all of us here. And I think, his recruiting, he's got a bright future ahead of him. And so, we're very pleased with what Corey's done so far and excited to see where it goes.
Great. Coach, thank you so much for your time today with our media. Thank you. Coach, have a great afternoon and a